One of the great things about GoodReads is that once you finish reading a book, they will automatically shelf your books that you just read to your read bookshelf. And in that bookshelf, you can actually choose a few different information about the book that you just read. And I just found out you can actually add number of ratings to your bookshelf. And I was playing around with all of the books that I read in 2025, and I found this 6 contemporary romance book that are highly underrated in my opinion. I love this book so much, and I think if you are looking for another contemporary romance to add into your TBR, that you should consider 1 or 2 or maybe all of these books. So let's talk about the first book. This one is Salty Spice and a Little Bit Nice by Cynthia Timothy. This is her debut adult romance book. She is a Chinese-Indonesian author based in Australia, and that just really piqued my interest. I think one day I was on NetGalley trying to look for a book that I wanted to read, and I came across Cynthia Timothy, and in my mind I was like, this is such a typical Chinese Indonesian name, and I was right. I decided to pick up the e-arc, but when I finished the arc and the book is published, I decided to pick it up because I just love this book so much. I probably will reread it eventually in the future once I read all of these books behind me. But anyways, this one is about Ellie, who has a very controlling mom that tries to sabotage all of her professional career moves, that she decided to move to the other side of the coast to avoid being controlled by her mom. Only her older brother know about her move, and when she moved to that city, her older brother's best friend, who she had a history with, is the only one she knows in town. And things starts from there. It is such a really cute story, and if you're looking for a diabetes representation, this book has it. The author was saying that she was inspired to write about the representation because one of her sons were diagnosed with diabetes a few years before she wrote the book. Cynthia Timothy also has another novel coming out, I think in May, which I have pre-ordered, and I will leave the cover right here if you guys are interested in looking into that book. And I want to mention that this book, according to GoodReads, has an average rating of 3.62 with only 1,314 ratings. And I think we should try to put that number a little higher because this book is definitely highly underrated, and I think you should pick it up. The second book that I want to talk about, I actually don't have the physical copy of, but it is Save the Date by Allison Raskin. This book has a really interesting premise. Our FMC is actually engaged to this one man, and I forgot his name. However, 6 months before the wedding is supposed to happen, he decided to bail out, and for some reason, she doesn't want to cancel the date. So what she decided to do is to look for a groom to marry in the next 6 months, which is, in my opinion, is kind of insane, but that is the premise of this book, and it was just really interesting. Throughout the book, you'll learn, I think, about 3 different men that she kind of came across in the span of these 6 months. There's one person that is from her past. I think the second person is like someone she randomly find, I think online, or I forgot how they met. And the third one is from a friend of a friend, and then she was kind of being matched up by one of her friends or her sister or something like that. It was just a very interesting premise, and I definitely enjoyed Allison's writing. And if you don't know who Allison Raskin is, if you used to watch BuzzFeed back in the day from like what, 10-12 years ago, she was one of the video producers, but she also starred in one of those videos, and I just love her videos. I just love her characters in those videos. And I know that she wrote a book before this one, but I think this is her debut adult romance novel, and she's coming out with a new book also this year that I have pre-ordered. I will leave the cover right here if you are interested, but I would highly recommend this book. This book has an average rating of 3.48 on GoodReads, but only 1,652 readers rated this book, and I think, again, we should put that number a little higher by maybe you guys picking it up soon. So the third book that I want to talk about is actually a YA romance book, and I read this, I want to say last year, It is Soulmates by Susan Lee. This is pretty YA in my opinion. I think if you don't really like YA romance books or just YA books in general, because the characters seem so young and so dramatic, unpredictable, indecisive. This book I think has all of that, but I still enjoy this book so much and I'll let you know why. But before that, let me give you some statistics. This book has an average rating of 3.53 on GoodReads and it only has 6,215 ratings, and again, I think we should increase that number by a little bit or a lot more. But anyways, the reason why this one piqued my interest is because these two characters, I think her name is Hannah, this one is Jacob. Yeah, so Hannah and Jacob basically grew up together in San Diego, but I think about 3 years ago Jacob decided to move back to South Korea to pursue an acting career, which is again pretty interesting because I love K-dramas. So it just has a very interesting premise. And I think this summer, when Hannah is a senior in high school or about to be a senior in high school, he decided to come back with his family, with his mom and his sister, to San Diego to spend the summer and get a little bit of a vacation because he's been busy filming the Korean drama that he's on. They used to be best friends when they were younger, but after he moved to Korea, they kind of lost touch, and I think she was kind of mad that he has been ignoring her and all of that, so they are trying to ease back into their friendship again over the summer. It was a pretty great read. I definitely love this one way more than the Romance Rivalry, which is Susan Lee's newer YA romance published book from last year. And if you are into that kind of like K-drama, K-pop, Korean culture type of like element in your book, I would highly recommend this one. I'm pretty sure she has an adult romance book that came out last year, I want to say, called Julie's Song is Undateable, and she is coming up with a new adult romance book, I'm pretty sure. And I will pop up the book cover right here. I don't think I've pre-ordered this because when I was doing my pre-orders for like the later half of 2026, I don't think she announced this book just yet. But maybe I'm wrong and I have pre-ordered it. So the next book is Love is a War Song by Danica Nava. I'm pretty sure that is how you say her name. This one actually is a pretty great contemporary romance because this one is about a famous pop singer. I'm pretty sure she's a pop singer. And she is Native American. However, ever since she was little, she never really know anything about her Native American culture, background, and also anything about her dad or her family. I think it's because her mom is trying to shield her from all of the hurt that her mom experienced when she was younger. But in the current time, Avery, that is the FMC's name, she did a thing that causes some backlash, and her mom decided for her to hide in her grandma's ranch, which is I think in Oklahoma. Yeah, obviously it was kind of hard for her to adjust to that life because she'd never know who her grandma was. She doesn't even know that her grandma has a ranch. She's never really in touch with her Native American background. So when she got to the ranch, she met Lucas, which is the love interest, and he at first didn't really like her because she was obviously like a diva and not wanting to help out and know how to do anything around the ranch. However, he kind of softened up for her and he decided to kind of like teach her how the ranch works, but also teach her a little bit about her Native American culture and background. And I feel like I just learned so much about that from this one book. So this one has an average rating of 3.75, but only 8,453 people rated this book. And I think we should, you know, make that number a little higher as well. And I know that Danica is coming out with a new romance, I'm pretty sure this year, and I'm pretty sure I have pre-ordered it, and I will leave the cover right here if you're interested in, you know, maybe look into it or purchase it for yourself. But if you're looking into kind of like a pop star romance where she falls in love with an average guy, I would highly recommend this one as well. So the next book that I have is Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune by Roselle Lim. I feel like if you have been following me for a while, you probably know that this is one of my favorite book covers ever. I think the pink and the blue and the gold just work really well. I don't know, it just has everything that I like. There's a bowl of noodle, there is the San Francisco trolley, the famous San Francisco house. And I feel like if you look at this book at a bookstore, it will probably pique your interest as well. But this one has an average rating of 3.46 and only 9,364 people rated this book, and I feel like this needs to be hyped up a little bit more. This book has a pretty interesting premise, and I feel like it didn't really tug on my heartstrings until the end of the book, and that is when I kind of tear up a little bit, and I just felt like all of the things that I learned throughout the book finally make sense. This one is about Natalie, who is technically an experienced chef, but she never really had a formal education at like a cooking school. Her mom was always against her going to a cooking school in the past, but at present time she learned that her mom just passed away, so she decided to go back to San Francisco's Chinatown, which is where she grew up, to kind of take care of things. And when she came back, she also got reintroduced to some of the neighbors who still live in the same neighborhood, and she thinks that when she was younger, they never really help her or her mom out. I forgot to mention, but her mom has this agoraphobia, I think that's what it's called, where her mom is really afraid of going outside, and Natalie has to do basically everything for her mom. And when her mom passed away, she also inherited the restaurant underneath her apartment that her grandma used to own and used to cook for. So I guess in this homecoming, she also decided to reopen her grandma's restaurant. It was just, again, a very heartfelt, very wholesome book, and if you have never heard of this book, you should definitely pick it up. There's actually 2 more of Roselle Lim's book with the same universe. I feel like the characters from this neighborhood is in the other 2 books that she has, and you will know that the other 2 books have similar book covers, and I love those colors and all of the things that the illustrator picked. And I think I will definitely put those 2 books in my radar because I have them in my physical collection, but I haven't really been putting them in my TBR list, but I will definitely do that for sure. The last book that I have, I don't have it physically, but I think I read them from Libby, and it is The Kiss Countdown by Ada Easton. That one has an average rating of 3.77 and 9,992 readers rated the book. This book is so cute, and I think I have found Ada Easton to be my comfort author for contemporary romance, because when I pick up The Kiss Countdown, I just love it so much. I cannot wait to go back into my Kindle and actually read the next chapters of the book because it is just so cute. This one is an astronaut romance. The love interest, the MMC, is an astronaut, and the FMC is an event planner, I want to say. One of them accidentally said that they have a boyfriend or girlfriend in front of his sister, so they decided to fake date for a few months because I think he's going to space, I want to say, and only have like about 2 or 3 months before his mission, so he wants to tell his family that he has a girlfriend and that his family shouldn't worry about him going to space. She also has some type of like childhood trauma, I want to say, but basically she grew up really poor, and she basically wanted to do everything she can to build wealth so her parents doesn't have to worry about her. It was just, again, really cute, and if you're looking into like an astronaut love story, I would definitely recommend that book. There's also kind of like a companion book to The Kiss Countdown. I will leave the book cover right here. I haven't read it because I just haven't gotten a chance to borrow it, but I probably will add it into maybe my summer TBR. I think it is set in the summer, but I'll have to check it out. But I'll definitely put that in my radar. Alright, those are all of the 6 contemporary romance books that I think is highly underrated. I think I'm going to look into more of this type of books where it has a pretty great average rating but less than 10,000 readers have rated the book. It's kind of fun to look into it and see if I've read the book or not, or if I want to add them into my endless TBR. I highly encourage you guys to check out these 6 books.